Come to this other story we're not going to let go of here at LBC, which is the loan charge scandal. If you have been listening, you'll know that we've spoken to the former Conservative Party leader, Sir Ian Duncan-Smith, who said he's ashamed of his government for implementing this controversial tax avoidance crackdown, which has been linked to 7 people taking their lives. 7 people. And in some instances, the HMRC going after eye-watering debts of people who did nothing wrong and acted on professional advice. Let's speak with one victim now. Niall Finucane, who is a former airline pilot, and you heard him briefly explain just before the news a little of his story. He joins me now. Mr. Finucane, thank you. If I can ask you to take the story from the very beginning so my listeners can sort of watch it through. What happened to you and when? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. I worked as an airline pilot in the UK since 2001. In around 2008-9, self-employment became kind of a more used model by airlines to pay their crews. I became
Probably saves them NI, doesn't
self-employed.
it? And pensions and all that sort of thing, I would imagine.
Yeah, it avoids all that. So
Yeah.
basically, I ended up in a situation where I was getting 0 hours. So I worked a
I see.
0-hour contract.
Yeah.
This presented an immediate problem for me because I engaged a UK accountant because I lived in the UK. And I found out very quickly I couldn't register as self-employed. I don't supply my own equipment. I don't dictate my own holidays. I don't charge a rate, etc., etc. And the questions on the HMRC website, couldn't answer them.
Right.
And my accountant was perplexed at this. He said, "Okay, you can't use a company. It's the same problem. You can't provide your services to other airlines. It's regulatorily impossible."
Right.
So I looked at my colleagues who'd done this and I said, how are you guys managing to do this? And they showed me a loan scheme. Now, I was highly dubious of this. I read the documentation. I thought, how is this possible? So I did what my accountant advised me to do, and I called HMRC. And I asked them, had they heard of this? Yes. Is this legal? Yes.
Oh, my
Do you know
gosh.
this? Do you know this promoter? Yes. And what is DOTAS? Oh, it's the Directory of Tax Avoidance Schemes. And I said, well, I don't like this or that. Well, it's registered with us. So this is legal. Yes, it is.
Oh, my
Can I use this? You can. Is there an alternative in UK tax law that I can use instead? We're not sure. Well, can I register as self-employed? Well, did you answer the questions? I said, yes. Did you answer no to them? I did. Well, you can't register then. So what do I do? And they said, well, talk to your tax advisor. I said, I did. So I can use this scheme? It's all good? Yes, you can. And on that basis, I proceeded.
And what's
I
happened
did not-
since, Mr. Finucane?
In 2015, I left for China and I worked for an airline in China. So obviously it stopped then.
Yeah, of course.
I was aware at that stage that there were investigations by HMRC into this thing. I thought nothing of it because I checked it. I thought, okay, that's not going to include me. Maybe somebody else has used this that wasn't eligible, whatever. I didn't even fully understand it. I checked it. And I was told it was okay. So I went off to China. And in 2019, the promoter contacted me, not HMRC, the promoter, and said, you are subject to something called the loan charge.
Right.
When I discovered what this was, I contacted HMRC immediately. And I said, look, we talked about this. I am assuming this is not affecting me because I checked everything. And a wall of silence, nothing.
And what's happened? I've got a note here of how much...
They wanted...
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know what they wanted. I didn't even know was I subject to it. After many letters to them, after many emails, after engaging an accountant that the promoter gave me, which is another story altogether, another scandal there. I paid them a lot of money and I discovered it was just the promoter rinsing me for more money.
Right.
I got a real accountant and that accountant said, look, you're in trouble here. In July 19, a bill appeared for £205,000.
My God.
Now, HMRC have been telling people something which is a lie. And the lie is that anyone in these schemes was better off.
Yeah.
I was not better off because every expense that I incurred as a pilot, I had to pay myself and I could not claim back.
What are you going to do now, Mr. Finucane?
The problem is I tried to settle with them. I even got my MP involved, who was very supportive, still is. And the complaint is based on the abuse of human rights. And the reason for that is I tried to settle this matter with HMRC.
Is that Alan Dorrans, by the way, your MP?
That is Mr. Alan Dorrans, yes. And he was extremely helpful for me. And he still is. It's now at parliamentary ombudsman level. It's still not resolved.
Is it not?
They refused to provide me with settlement figures. I suspect that's because I asked them, why must I incriminate myself to settle? They
I see.
refused
To
to answer that.
effectively admit you're a criminal, effectively, yeah.
I must admit to basically defrauding the government, which I
I
did
see.
not do.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I can't admit to that. They forced me into the loan charge. I tried to settle this for 2 years. For 2 years, they completely ignored me. They only answered me when I got the MP involved.
I know that I have to leave it there. I hope you can understand it. I just don't have. It's been fascinating hearing from you. Can I commend you the forensic detail you laid that out? Perhaps not surprisingly, given because you don't get to fly planes unless you're a clever bloke. So I'm very grateful to you. Thank you, Mr. Finucane. Please stay tuned. We are not letting go of this story. Niall Finucane there. An airline pilot, £205,000. I should tell you, HMRC have been approached for a comment. At this time, they have declined to get involved.